to college hoops, UCLA freshman Lonzo Ball is arguably one of the biggest names in college hoops, and according to his daddy, LeVar, he'll soon be one of the biggest names in the NBA and is already better than a two-time league MVP.
You think he can be as good as Steph Curry in the NBA?
Heck no. He's going to be better than Steph Curry in the NBA.
Steph Curry's pretty good, Mr. Ball.
Steph Curry is really good. My son is young. He got time to go.
Tell us how you really feel. Ball made national news with those comments, but it didn't deter him. Instead, he just doubled down on the Curry comparisons.
I have the utmost confidence in what my boy is doing. I'm going to tell you right now, he's better than Steph Curry to me. Here, put Steph Curry on UCLA team right now and put my boy on Golden State and watch what happens.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, you double down on it right there.
Double down on it again. And like I said, if I don't know what my boy's about, I'm not going to make that statement. Steph's going to have problems trying to guard my boy. And what I say, play one-on-one.
So then Saturday, Ball told an Arizona radio station he wants his son to play for the Lakers so much so that he would discourage other teams from picking him in this summer's NBA draft. He later hedged that statement when speaking to ESPN, saying this: "All I said was that my boy is going to play for the Lakers, and I'm going to speak it into existence. I want him to be a Laker, but I wasn't saying he's only going to play for the Lakers." Now, according to Scout.com, several NBA executives see Ball's father as a potential landmine. Well, Kane's still here with us, but Max, I want to start with you on this one. Do you have a problem with LeVar Ball's comments on his son?
I love Lonzo Ball's daddy. Boy, this is so good. First of all, for everyone who's criticizing him, I get it, because you're putting a lot of pressure on your son. And by the way, if you switch Lonzo Ball and Steph Curry, the Bruins get a whole lot better, obviously, and the Warriors get a whole lot worse, clearly. But this is so... Who is everyone else to criticize the way a father raises his sons when they're achieving on the level they're achieving? You know what that means? That means his kids put in the work, and they have very high expectations for themselves. What's wrong with that exactly, to set high expectations? Stephen, I remember Derek Jeter talking about how his dad wasn't chirping in the media, but talking about how he told his dad he wanted to play shortstop for the Yankees when he was a kid. He said, then you go ahead and do that, put in the work. That Jeter, when he was in the minor leagues, said, what's your goal in the majors? To hit 300. Why would I try to hit 300 all through the minors? Then I get to the majors, say, oh, I'll just hit 250 and play defense. No, I want to hit 300. You set high expectations. He's a Hall of Fame player. That's the kind of expectations in the Ball house, obviously. Put in the work, aim for the stars, think you're going to get there, and let's see what happens. I love that.
I'm incredibly disappointed with what you're saying, and I affectionately am calling you a liar on national television because you happen to be a wonderful dad who puts your daughter's interest ahead of yourself. So it's not about him raising. I will not sit here on national television and question LeVar Ball's, how he's raising his son. I'm quite sure he's a wonderful dad. He's got 3 sons who appear to be all world. The difference is what you articulate publicly and being, just oblivious to the pressure that you're adding to your son. That's the issue here. When you sit up there and you say my son is better than Steph Curry, it's your son that has to go out there and perform and to live up to the hype you've attached.
Like Tiger Woods, when his daddy put those expectations, like Kobe Bryant?
I'll let you speak. We criticized Tiger Woods' dad when he did it. We criticized Kobe Bryant's father when he did it because it wasn't about their abilities. It's about why would you make that? Why would you say something like that? Because when you do that, it's about you, and it's about what you're saying, and it's about the attention you're bringing to yourself. It doesn't become just about your son anymore. And putting a child in that kind of bubble, regardless of whether he can handle it or not, is unfair to the kid. You can feel whatever you want to feel. You can say what you want to say to your child in private. But when you go out and publicly ballyhoo about this individual Steph Curry is a 2-time league MVP and the greatest shooter we've ever seen. You got a freshman at UCLA and you're like, oh, put him against my son right now. Watch what my son do. Really? Come on, man.
It's like Floyd Mayweather sounded like about his kid once upon a time.
Well, I'm saying that's, he should have, but then again, that's boxing. And even though I would tell you he's wrong as well, at the same time, again, it all falls under the same category. When you do stuff like that, to me, every parent that I know, including myself, our default position is to do what's in the best interest of our child first. It ain't about us. And now I get the impression that it's about LeVar Bell, as opposed to Lonzo, and that's my issue.
It's interesting. Even when I agree with you, Max, I find places where we fundamentally disagree. You said, who are we to criticize the way he raises his son? First of all, I'm going to have to agree with Stephen A on this. I don't even think you believe that. That's the kind of thing people say, and I bet you and Mrs. Kellerman have made a few comments about the way other people raise their kids. Based on
do you say I let him get away with that?
No. I'm not saying that as a blanket statement. I'm saying based on the success that his sons have already achieved, that seems to be coming from his philosophy. So at this point, we decide now we're going to criticize the way his kids...
Maybe it motivates
they're achieving on that level. First of all, the only point there is that certainly anyone can be criticized for anything, and if we're being honest, we all do criticize, either in public or in private, including, and not just this, but especially on parenting. But I agree with you on this. Stephen A., I think these comments largely are harmless. I don't think they put any extra pressure on Lonzo Ball. First of all, this is an exuberant, yes, irrational dad who believes in his son. Welcome to fatherhood. This is what we all do. We're either irrationally negative or irrationally positive. You're the greatest, or why aren't you great? One or the other. Constantly, we battle being rational with our children from start to finish. And I see a guy here who just believes in his son. Just like Deshaun Watson wants to be a Cowboy, or Myles Garrett wants to be a Cowboy. He wants his son to be a Laker. And even if he's doing the engineering thing, even if he's really trying to get his son to be a Laker, and he really believes his son is good as Steph Curry, what's that make him? That makes him like Archie Manning. This has been done over and over again. I don't think that adds pressure. I'm going to bet you Lonzo Ball and his two other brothers have had pressure their entire life. But it's not just about adding pressure. It's about maybe his kids respond to that pressure. Right, yes, I agree. Maybe that's part of the formula for their success.
What I'm saying is this. I have no issue with his desire for his son to be a Laker. That's not the issue.
Comparing him to Steph.
No, it's not just comparing him to Steph. It's his willingness to speak publicly about his son so much, seemingly oblivious to the potential impact it may have because of the age that we're living in. You got to remember, anytime you're in the public eye, it gives an excuse for people not just to scrutinize you about what dad is daring everybody to scrutinize you about, but everything that comes with it. Because one minute we're talking about his game, another minute we're talking about who he's dating, how he's conducting himself on campus. Did you see him at a club or something like that? I'm trying to say that in this day and age, a parent, more so than anybody else, finds themselves more concerned about their child because of all the ancillary things that it entails. A parent is usually thinking about that, not about themselves.
When you think you got the goods, whatever the wisdom generally is, Jelly Bean Bryant thought he had the goods, and he was right. He basically had the next Michael Jordan. He was right. I mean, and so maybe that's the feeling here about Lonzo Ball. Now, it's all predicated on he has to ball. Right. He has to do it. And finally, quickly about the Lakers, to your point about the Lakers, this is the legacy of the late, great Dr. Jerry Buss, the greatest owner by far in the history of American team sports. He created a franchise and an aura about the franchise that has fans, including Kobe Bryant's dad, thinking, I just want my boy to play for the Lakers. If that's what's going on with some prospects, even in the Lakers' darkest hour, that they want to steer them toward the Lakers, great for the Lakers.
In the shine that comes with being in LA.
LeVar Ball has said that his sons, he has 3, all of which are great basketball players, are like phones. Each model gets better. So I'll tell you this, Stephen A. I think you could end up right one day, just not yet. LeVar Ball needs to be careful. He hasn't gone over any lines yet, but maybe he has a potential to do so.
Well, let's also remember this. Covering the NBA, inside information. Kobe Bryant is talking. I mean, rather, his father at the time. Kobe Bryant comes into the league. What happens? Remember those air balls against Utah? Well, let's remember what happened. Del Harris put him in that position because he got tired of Kobe and others.
You're trying to separate out. Part of the reason Kobe had the mentality he did, which made him essentially the next Michael Jordan, is because of those expectations. I don't think you can separate out at the last minute, well, don't talk smack and try to back it up. That's part of his point. Kobe, there's a Marinovich. So it's not. And that's the question. Are you Kobe or Marinovich? That's the question.
Again, too much scrutiny. It's not good.
We got to move on here. Speaking of scrutiny, the biggest trade of the NBA trade deadline hasn't exactly been working out for the Pelicans. DeMarcus Cousins and his new squad are 0-3 since he joined New Orleans. Sunday night, the Pelicans lost to the Thunder, and to make matters worse, Cousins received his 18th technical of the season less than a minute into the game. He will now have to serve a 1-game suspension. Here's Cousins after the game.
I don't feel like I did anything wrong to receive it, so hopefully the league handles it the right way, and hopefully I get the benefit of the doubt. We got to work on us right now. We got to figure this thing out in house, and that should be the main goal at this moment. It's just figuring out what's best for the team, figuring out what's the best way for us to play together.
All right, Stephen A., I know this trade just happened, but what's wrong with the Pelicans?
They're not good enough. They don't have anybody other than the 2 players that they have. Drew Holiday is a solid player, but he's not a superstar point guard. Anthony Davis is an absolute stud. DeMarcus Cousins is a stud offensively. Defensively, he's not intimidating anybody. He's not a shot blocker. He's not a rim stopper. That's not who he is. You combine that with the fact that Alvin Gentry still has a lot to prove as a head coach in this game. Remember, I highlighted last week, as much as I like and respect Alvin Gentry, because he does know basketball, he's been a head coach for 14 seasons in this league. He's had 2 winning seasons. 2. The bottom line is you can't escape that reality. And so we're going to learn a lot about their maturation with one another, but we're also going to learn a lot, even in this short period of time, even with a hellacious schedule, because they had Oklahoma City and Dallas and Houston, these 3 games that they lost. They got San Antonio coming up, I think Utah down the road, Detroit, etc. We're going to find out not just what they're made of, we're going to find out what Alvin Gentry's made of.
This one ain't that hard. Pelicans are no good. I mean, they're not good. They're Anthony Davis and a collection of parts that aren't good enough. Holiday's nice. As you said, he's solid. He's not, the idea that he's supposed to be part of a big 3, stop. He's okay. They're not a good team that just added a major piece who, by the way, essentially plays the same position. They do some things differently that their best player already plays. So anytime you add a huge piece midstream, you have to integrate it, particularly when there's some redundancy. You have to figure out high usage players, how that's going to work, and the team isn't very good to begin with. The questions about Boogie Cousins being a winning or losing player under any circumstances will be answered partially as time goes on. But the idea that these two couldn't play together, I think, is far-fetched. I think that over time, this team will be better, obviously, for the trade of an extremely talented, valuable piece in Boogie Cousins. And if you think back to Kevin Durant on the Golden State Warriors and how that looked, on a well-oiled machine, you added a Durant who wasn't redundant. Look how they looked against San Antonio early in the season. Terrible.
It is entirely too early to bang the gavel and say this is the way it's going to be, but it's also entirely untrue to not look at this and pass judgment that the Pelicans are worse with DeMarcus Cousins. Right now, they are worse than the team they fielded before they had DeMarcus Cousins by every statistical measure, plus minus with those two on the floor. Offensive rating, they are 7 points, I think it's 7 points worse with these two playing together than they were before the trade. Defense, by the way, also measurably worse. Now, is that because they have 3 guys running that just simply cannot play, or is it because guys play worse with DeMarcus Cousins or 2 towers like this? For more than 3 games, we'll answer that question. But you can't beat around the bush. Right now, DeMarcus Cousins' addition to the Pelicans has made that team worse.
As Kevin Durant made the Warriors worse early on.
Well, listen, you got 2 guys that command 25 shots a game and are used to being the #1 option. That's why I bring up Alvin Gentry. Coaching has something to do with it. And here's how you know. Ask any aspiring head coach out there. Excuse me, we got a head coaching opening. And, 2 guys you got to work with is Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. Tell me who ain't going to want that job. And that's how you know. What I'm saying to you is this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you that DeMarcus Cousins can't be a headache. I'm not trying to gloss over some of the distractions that he created. But you don't teach what he brings. And a lot of times I've often said this, and I'll leave it to y'all to answer this question before we go. I've often said this. You don't play, meaning you're a coach. You don't play. Well, what the hell is it that you do? Do you really think as a head coach, particularly in this day and age, with 12 brands on a particular team, depending on which team you're coaching, do you really think that you get to just highlight X's and O's? No. You got to motivate. You got to cajole. You got to massage. You got to do a whole bunch of things because that's what separates the guys who can be in the league as a coach and the guys that can't. You got to do that with the DeMarcus Cousins of the world, too.
The question with Boogie Cousins is not only his personality in the locker room. It's, does he have the kind of game that is conducive to winning in the modern NBA?
Yes.
For his position. You know what he does best? Pass the ball. Like, people don't understand. DeMarcus Cousins is a brilliant player who needs to be in the right situation and coached up right with strong personalities around him in leadership roles. It remains to be seen whether or not that's the Pelicans. But everything he does on the floor is conducive to winning in the modern NBA.
Right now, we haven't even gotten to those problems you just enunciated about DeMarcus Cousins. We're not even at motivational problems. We're not even at behavioral problems. We're at X's and O problems. We're at no space on the floor problems. We're at Alvin Gentry problems. Wait till the behavioral problems come on. Okay. They're going to come.
Yeah, they're going to come. But you can gloss over it if you have the coaching with that talent.
Veteran leadership.
Thank you for being
with
us.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Speaking of beef, we got one that we haven't discussed yet, and we're not talking about Nicki Minaj and Remy Ma. The feud between Shaquille O'Neal and JaVale McGee is over, and you won't believe who ended it. That's next. Speaking of college hoops, UCLA freshman Lonzo Ball is arguably one of the biggest names in college hoops, and according to his daddy, LeVar, he'll soon be one of the biggest names in the NBA and is already better than a 2-time league MVP.
You think he can be as good as Steph Curry in the NBA? Heck no. He's going to be better than Steph Curry in the NBA. Steph Curry's pretty good, Mr. Ball.
Steph Curry's really good. My son is young. He got time to go.
Tell us how you really feel. Ball made national news with those comments, but it didn't deter him. Instead, he just doubled down on the Curry comparisons.
I have the utmost confidence in what my boy is doing. I'm going to tell you right now, he's better than Steph Curry to me. Here, put Steph Curry on UCLA's team right now and put my boy on Golden State and watch what happens. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you double down on it right there. Double down on it again. And like I said, if I don't know what my boy's about, I'm not going to make that statement. Steph's going to have problems trying to guard my boy. And like I say, play one-on-one.
So then Saturday, Ball told an Arizona radio station he wants his son to play for the Lakers so much so that he would discourage other teams from picking him in this summer's NBA draft. He later hedged that statement when speaking to ESPN, saying this: "All I said was that my boy is going to play for the Lakers, and I'm going to speak it into existence. I want him to be a Laker, but I wasn't saying he's only going to play for the Lakers." Now, according to Scout.com, several NBA executives see Ball's father as a potential landmine. Will Kane's still here with